Hello, and welcome to the 24th episode of my Failed Franchises Rail Operators series, and episode 2 of my Wales Franchises mini-series, although this operator was more about England than Wales. In this series, I look at defunct rail operators and conclude whether or not they should be deemed as a failure. Today, we are looking at First North Western, an operator who operated across North Wales and Northern England, but were they any good? Do like, subscribe, and consider joining the channel for exclusive perks. Thank you. We go back to 1996, when British Rail was being privatised. The government decided that there should be a franchise covering the whole of North Wales and North Western England, creating the North West Regional Railways franchise, which would begin from March 1997. In February, it was announced that Great Western Holdings had won the franchise, which would commence on the 2nd of March 1997 under the North Western Trains brand. Soon after, on the 27th of October, North Western Trains unveiled their dark blue and golden star livery. However, the current name of First North Western was only conceived in March 1998, when First brought out Great Western Holdings, with all North Western Trains services rebranded to First North Western in November 1998. Whereby First's Barbie, blue, pink and white livery was applied to all future trains. On the topic of trains, First North Western would operate urban and regional services around the northwest of England, as well as the North Wales coastline. Services would run from Manchester to Birmingham, Chester, Holyhead, Blackpool, Windermere, Barrow, Carlisle, Liverpool and Sheffield, as well as other various local branch lines, such as Duke Llandudno and Blaenau-Festiniog. As for rolling stock, First North Western would inherit a fleet of old British Rail units, including old slam door Mark II coaches hauled by Class 37s on North Wales coast services, and first generation diesel and electric multiple units, including the Class 101 and 309s. As well as this, First North Western would inherit Class 142 Pacers, Class 150s, 153s, 156s, and 158 Sprinters, as well as Class 323 electric multiple units. The first few years of North West Trains and First North Western were rather hectic. In July 1997, to coincide with franchise requirements to withdraw all slam door units by 2002, North Western Trains ordered 27 DMUs from Alstom for £64 million. This order, at first, would be for 18 100-mile-an-hour Class 175 Corradias and 9 Class 180 Adelantes. Soon after, though, the order was altered to just be the Class 175s, with North Western Trains ordering 11 two-carriage and 16 three-carriage units with a top speed of 100 miles an hour. A new maintenance facility would also be opened at Chester, with the units planned to enter service by 2000, replacing all slam door stock. In May 1998, North Western Trains, by now First North Western, began operating several daily services from Manchester Airport and Rochdale into London Euston, subleasing 2 Class 322s for the service from West Anglia Great Northern, as well as trialling services from Euston to Bolton and Blackpool North. However, odd calling points, such as services not calling at Preston or Wigan due to competition franchising regulations, and the infrequent service at irregular and impractical times, led to First North Western Euston services being withdrawn from 1999, with the Class 322s handed back to West Anglia Great Northern. Elsewhere, in 1998, it was revealed that the purchase of North Western Trains by First had made 7 rail executives more than £15 million, 7,000% more than initial investments, whilst passengers would see little extra investment. The buyout was seen as a money grab from First, with First North Western and sister company First Great Western expected to receive over £200 million in public subsidies, with around £30 million in profits. Labour, who were in power at the time, were not happy with the arrangements, but were left with little choice due to the Conservative government's lack of regulatory powers during privatisation. In 2000, Sir Alistair Morton, the Strategic Rail Authority's chief executive, announced provisional plans for a change in franchises. The changes proposed would see First North Western's operations in Wales be merged into a joint Wales and Borders franchise, whilst a dedicated joint Northern franchise and Trans-Pennine Express franchise would be created, splitting First North Western between 3 potential operators. However, the UK franchise changes, which would see the total amount of franchises be reduced from 25 to 22, would not happen before 2004, so First North Western will still be an operator for a short while yet. Elsewhere in 2000, the new Class 175s began entering service from June. The new units would feature an interior designed for First North Western, with airline-style at-sea entertainment systems, noise-dampening features including acoustic ceiling panels, and low-noise air conditioning. The trains will be built with dual air and spring suspension, whilst improving fuel economy for its aerodynamically designed exterior. The trains, although entering a month later than anticipated, were expected to revolutionise travel in Wales and the North West, with the units primarily deployed in North Wales coast services to displace the ageing Mark I and Mark II vehicles. In December 2000, the Strategic Rail Authority announced plans to change compensation, with season ticket holders and normal weekly and daily ticket holders receiving more compensation rights, with First North Western included in this. The introduction of enough Class 175s by the end of 2000 led to the final withdrawal of the ageing Class 309s, which had previously run services to Birmingham and Euston from Manchester, as well as local services to Crewe and Stoke-on-Trent. This saw the end of over 20 years of Class 309 service in the Manchester area, and left just the last few Mark II and Class 101s remaining as slam door units. In 2001, more than £1 million was put forward for the development and upgrade of Ashton and Stockport rail stations, with a new platform planned at Stockport, as well as a new entrance. Other improvements for Marple, Atherton, Castleton and Horwich Parkway also commenced. New timetables for May 2001 for First North Western led to several improvements, such as for services along the Windermere branch and services to Barrow, with more peak services introduced as the introduction of the Class 175s continued. Elsewhere, in March 2002, the Windermere branch received more upgrades, with the line closed for 16 days to relay the track, with continuously welded rail for an improved ride quality along the line. 2002 overall was a quite difficult year for First North Western in the regards of strikes. Both Arriva Trains Northern and First North Western announced strike dates for April 2002, with all of First North Western's services cancelled during the 3-day strike action, which began on the 5th of April. More strikes occurred the following week, with RMT staff refusing to accept a pay offer. Strikes continued into August when First North Western drivers once again refused a pay offer, with strikes taking place on 6 days within August and September with ASLEF. The reason for the strikes was not just pay, with First North Western wanting to make drivers be forced to undertake litter picks at train stations, with First North Western Managing Director Vernon Barker saying that they had worked very hard to put together an excellent pay deal for ASLEF members, which would establish them as some of the best paid drivers in the country. Whilst ASLEF General Secretary Mick Ricks suggested that negotiations on productivity were ongoing, and it is outrageous that the company has introduced these new and frankly unacceptable proposals without consulting its workforce. The strikes continued into October, with strikes occurring every weekend until the 24th of November, after ASLEF members rejected a 19% pay rise. This came with rail watchdog Rail Passengers Council suggesting that services could get worse before they got better, with rail fares likely to rise and services becoming less punctual as stock got older. In June, despite the 175s hoping to replace the last of the loco-hauled stock, this would not be the case, with poor reliability leading to Class 47s and First Great Western Mark II coaches being used on North Wales coast services throughout the latter end of 2002, whilst the Class 175 issues were resolved. In November 2002, the Strategic Rail Authority confirmed that Connex and First Group had been shortlisted for the new Trans-Pennine Express franchise, which would begin in late 2003, with the new joint Northern franchise commencing soon after in the summer of 2004. Both new franchises would mean that First North Western would no longer be an operator by the end of 2004, with the Welsh services being taken over by the new Wales and Borders franchise in 2003. However, there was some good news for First North Western passengers by the start of 2003, with the strikes finally coming to an end. In February, First North Western announced that they had successfully struck a pay rise deal with ASLEF and had stopped any further strikes. Elsewhere, First North Western launched a scheme where passengers could suggest website improvements for £20 travel vouchers, whilst also reinstating most trains to Rose Hill, near Manchester, after having to cut some services for driver training. Also, in June 2003, First North Western repainted 10 of its Class 156s into First blue, magenta and white livery, with First hoping to relivery all of the Class 156s in due course. In November, MP for Liverpool Riverside, Louise Ellman, slated Liverpool Lime Street for being extremely slabby and grotty, despite having a new roof recently installed. The station, at the time managed by First North Western, was going into so much disrepair that it was announced that Network Rail would take over all operations of the station by the end of 2003, with refurbishment starting in 2004. In December, First North Western was confirmed to have been shortlisted for the new joint Northern Rail franchise. The bidders were First and Serco Netherlands Rail. The main shock was the absence of Arriva, who ran Arriva Trains Northern. However, this was perhaps understandable due to the misery passengers faced on Arriva Trains Northern. Elsewhere, First North Western officially handed over services to Holyhead, as well as 11 of the Class 175s to the Wales and Borders operator, whilst it was also confirmed that First had won the Trans-Pennine Express franchise. Also, in 2003, First North Western ceased services south of Stoke and Crewe in preparation for the handover of the franchise to the new Northern Rail franchise. Finally, for 2003, First North Western retired their last slam door units, the Class 101 diesel multiple units, in December 2003. In February 2004, the last year of the North West Regional Railways franchise, First North Western's new Class 175s was slated once again for poor reliability. Despite Alstom promising reliability of 43,500 miles per technical incident, they were not even reaching 10% of that figure, with the 175s hitting just 4,200 miles per breakdown. In March, pressure rose over a station closure planned by First North Western and the Strategic Rail Authority. A Truvia station north of Stoke-on-Trent was used by just 12 passengers a day due to the lack of services the station received, and thus the service was penned for closure. Despite local opposition, the argument for closing the station was quite a strong one. The station would cost £30,000 a year to remain open, with £500,000 needed to modify the platforms, as there was an 18-inch gap between the trains and the platform. Closing the station would also speed up intercity trains through track modifications, cutting intercity journey times and generating £3 million a year of economic benefits. Although locals wanted the station to remain open, with a revitalised service, including the Mayor of Stoke-on-Trent and the Transport 2000 pressure group, they had little success, and the station was closed after 2005. In October, the Strategic Rail Authority confirmed that Serco and Netherlands Railway had won the new Northern Rail franchise, running for 8 years and 9 months. The new franchise would run commuter services and regional services across northern England from the 12th of December, in conjunction with the new Trans-Pennine Express franchise. This would see First North Western not achieve their aims of winning both the Trans-Pennine and Northern franchises, settling for just the Trans-Pennine one. The new Northern franchise would gain less funding, however, with the Treasury wanting to limit the £350 million annual subsidy that Arriva Trains Northern and First North Western currently shared, with Transport 2000 Group suggesting that Britain was trying to shrink the railways, not expand them. Regardless, the franchise was confirmed to be going ahead, and First North Western ceased operations on the 12th of December 2004, ending 7 years of operations, 6 within Wales. So, let's conclude on First North Western and whether or not they should be deemed as a failure. Overall, I would suggest that First North Western were not a total failure. They did try and innovate with improvements to services, new Euston services introduced, as well as a new modern fleet of diesel multiple units. However, these new services proved to be a failure, whilst the new Class 175 fleet were very unreliable, leading to the reintroduction of slam door rolling stock. The last Class 101 first generation diesel multiple unit remained in service all the way until December 2003, outliving the original Pacer Class 141 unit. Elsewhere, a shabby stock of sprinters and constant drivers and guard strikes also plagued passengers on First North Western, hence why I don't think they were a huge success, but were definitely not a failure. Apologies for the slightly less Welsh-based video, despite this being a Welsh Rail Operators mini-series. However, don't worry, this video sets me up nicely for any potential future videos on Northern, as well as later videos on Arriva Trains Wales and Transport for Wales. If you remember going on First North Western, then please do share your thoughts on them in the description below. Thanks so much for watching today's video, and special thanks to my first class members, Callum Martin Bell and Crispin McKee, as well as my business owned members, Andrew Bowen, Anthony Harris, Anthony James Moore, ARK, Connor Grieg, Craig Mitchell 43, Gordon Walker, J Teco, Lewis C21 and NJTE. You can get your name on this list from as little as £2.99 a month, and help me to make my videos. I really do appreciate it. Also, thanks to everyone who let me use their footage for today's video. You can find their channels in the description or pinned comment. Once again, apologies for the less Welsh-based video, but I still hope I'll see you soon. Goodbye.